Next on the list of things that I apparently need to explain is resolution. What is it? Why is it important? It's become much hotter topic than usual because of a quote from the Ubisoft blog justifying the use of lower than 1080p resolution in Watch Dogs. That reads as follows: the resolution is a number, just like frame rate is a number. All those numbers are valid aspects of making games. But you make choices about the experience you want to deliver. In our case, dynamism is everything. So, for that reason, I will focus on the role resolution plays for gamers more, and less on the role it plays for photographers and movie buffs, although much of it will also be applicable to those folks. The term resolution is used to describe the finest detail in an image. It quantifies how close lines can be to each other and still be visually differentiated from each other by the eye. There are actually lots of different ways to measure resolution, but they all boil down to this: at an equal distance given to the same size otherwise equivalent images, the high resolution one will look sharper, clearer, and more true to life. It's just generally better. To a point. First, there is a requirement that all links in the chain, the content, the software, and the display need to be capable of the resolution you are trying to achieve. Or you'll realize that the capability of your weakest link is what holds you back to achieve that resolution. And second is that there is actually an upper limit to what your eye itself can resolve. Anyway, the marketing term that Apple coined for this is retina. Now, this is where things start to get a little bit tricky. On Retina Calculator, you can see three values: the pixel count of your display, the size of your display, and the distance from which you will normally view it. So, you can have an 1080p display that delivers an image so fine that you can't see the individual pixels, and a different 1080p display with an effective resolution so low that you might as well go back to playing Atari because it's so big or you are so close to it that you see individual pixels. Maybe Ubisoft on their blog had a point. 1080p is just a number. The perceived quality of your content depends on much more than whether it runs at 1920 by 1080p pixels versus 2080 by 720 or whatever. These numbers are just the tip of the iceberg. But what about color, depth, or frame rate? What about visual effects that we can turn on? What if we use less of our graphic processor horsepower to push more pixels? The one that you're looking at right now is a bit embellished example here, but hopefully you see my point. So yeah, all these things are important. So why do you fixate on wanting games to run at 1080p resolution or higher? Well, the answer to that is, on a typical flat screen TV at normal viewing distance, a 1080p pixel count has reasonably fine resolution, one that most people will find tolerable. But running any less than that has a couple of undesirable effects. Number one is that it makes curved or diagonal lines look blocky and less sharp, which draws the user's attention to the fact that you are looking at a digital simulation rather than a real image. And number two goes back to the chain I was talking about before. If one of the part of your chain, let's say your Xbox, can't handle the pixel count of the others, let's say your TV, instead of getting a pixel by pixel perfect representation of what the image was supposed to look like, some approximations are being made. These approximations are called interpolations. And if you want to know what that does to image quality, go ahead, set your display right now to something other than its native res and see what it looks like. Yeah, so there you have it. Resolution. might be the only determining factor when we are evaluating visual quality, and it might just be a number. But it's a really important number because a high resolution simple scene can look great. I mean, look at Nintendo's graphics on the Nintendo Switch. But even the best looking images in the world can be easily ruined by lowering the resolution too much because you can't see the details in the image. So guys, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, hit the like button and also don't forget to subscribe.